to the Texans. What makes it even worse is Dallas dropped to 0-5 at home and is the first team in NFL history to trail by at least 20 points in 6 consecutive games, including last season's wildcard playoff loss to Green Bay. But Micah Parsons still high on his squad. Micah, talk to me.
I'm going to put this out there. We're a damn good football team. I know the scores ain't showing it, and I know obviously people feel like we got so many missing pieces, but I just truly believe like you almost got to go to things like the things that we messing up on. Like I think our defense is really turning things around. Like up until that last quarter when they got that touchdown defense, we only really gave up those 2 touchdowns in that first quarter. But other than that, we gave up 6 points in the other 2 quarters.
All right. Hey, team. Stephen A., I'm coming right to you.
Yeah.
Do you believe Micah believes this?
He might, but that just shows how ignorant he is. I have to say that. Ladies and gentlemen, Micah Parsons, listen, football players is a very violent sport. One play can end your career. Micah Parsons has a podcast, and obviously he has aspirations for making some noise in that stratosphere. That is the kind of stuff that will ruin it. Because that's just an asinine statement on his part. Makes absolutely no sense. You can't run the football. You can't stop the run. You can't defend the pass. Defensively, you've been horrid. Offensively, you got one receiver, okay? You got a quarterback in Dak Prescott that ain't even in the lineup, and when he was in, they would still stinking so bad, by the way, that he was caught on camera saying we stink, and that's not the word he used. Yet Micah Parsons would come out in public on a public platform and say one of the most asinine statements that I've ever heard come out of his mouth. We're a good team. What happened to Bill Parcells? You are what your record says you are. What happened to other coaches and other players that sit up there and talk about the bottom line? The bottom line is the Dallas Cowboys are a losing team. They're on a fast track to nowhere. You've got an owner who's the president, who's the GM. That I think that we need his family members need to get involved. You know, I brought this up yesterday. I compared it to what I said about President Joe Biden. You have nothing but respect, but damn it, when you see slippage, you see slippage, okay? When I listen to Jerry say some of the things that he has been saying, which has made no sense whatsoever. I mean, we put it up on a big screen. We put it up on a big screen for Jerry to see, and then we read it. We had Molly read the quote over, and then we went like this. Does anybody understand what the hell that meant or what he is saying? So we got an owner, a president, and a GM that we don't understand what the hell they're saying. We got a team that we don't understand how the hell they look, other than awful. And then we got a star linebacker that's coming out there on his podcast and saying something like this that is not reminiscent of anything that he himself, with his greatness, has personified on the football field. It's an asinine statement that makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know what the hell is wrong with Mike Parsons.
What can I add there? Stephen hit it right on the head. I mean, they scored twice on the first drive of the game. I mean, they had the penalty, something that Saturday would do, the ineligible offensive lineman. They had the penalty, and then they score right down the field. Nixon goes 40-something yards. And Houston had been playing terribly before this game. So Dallas is, and thank God Houston won. I got him at 9.5. I needed a W at the season thing. And I was worried about it after they lost the Detroit game. So thank God that they caught the Cowboys at the perfect time. I have no idea what Parsons is saying. Maybe he's a little gun-shy about the week before when he got in trouble with it. So now he's trying to go the other way. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
So here's the thing. Love Micah Parsons, the player. I think it's asinine to talk about trading him. I think he's one of those foundational pieces that should be
I agree with that.
So do I.
Someone needs to cut his mic now. Because when he is talking about we are a really good team, not just for the final score of that game, but when you have Texans fans descending on Jerry's World, the amount of fans, the amount of people, that felt like a Texans home game for a little bit. And you have head coaches literally hanging by a thread. His head coach potentially hanging by a thread. You have John Fossil, their special teams coordinator, getting emotional and teary-eyed, talking about a gruesome injury suffered by one of his players, and he's thinking about how much he loves his guys, how he's thinking about how much longer do we have to play together. Like, those are the thoughts that are permeating through that building. And Micah, being a generational type of talent, being a cornerstone piece in this franchise, he doesn't see any of that. he thinks we are a good team. They have talent. But the context is always missing from Micah Parsons when he sits in front of a mic and he doesn't seem to understand the bigger picture, and that is what is frustrating.
Yeah, well, the difference is a talented team is not a good team. That's two totally different things. So a talent and being successful are they're not synonymous. And I think that's where people get confused. And when he's talking about we're talented, we're whatever, you're 100% what your record is. The problem with what Micah is saying is it brings these questions back into the locker room. And if you're another player on the team, what are you going to say? No, we're not a good team? Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, it just puts you in a bad situation. So now in the last 3 weeks, we've been dealing with what Micah's saying on his podcast as opposed to how are we making corrections to actually get better. Had Micah been like, hey, here's what we did to get better. Instead of getting beat by 25, we got beat by 3 in a tight game. You got blown out again at home, and you're talking about you're a good football team. You cannot have these conversations. And I don't care. I understand what Stephen A. is saying about maybe he wants to build a podcast brand, whatever that is. I understand what you're saying about the credibility, but in the locker room from a football perspective, you're crushing guys in your locker room because they don't have the cachet to be able to say the things you are, and you're saying all the wrong things. Yeah. That's a bad place to be when your leaders are screwing it up this way.
As the stars seeming to fall in Big D, questions surround who's going to coach the team next season. Here's Adam Schefter with the latest, and Deion Sanders being asked about his future at Colorado.
Better chance at being the Cowboys' next head coach, Jason Witten or Deion Sanders?
I think you got two great guys. Jerry has to be thinking about these sort of things, but hasn't sat down, to my knowledge, to talk to either one of those individuals about that, how that's going to go. We don't know. I still think he's going to be interested in Bill Belichick at some point in time. There's going to be some level of interest there.
You going to talk about me going somewhere with my AD in here? Like, I'm happy where I am, man. I'm good. I got a kickstand down. You know what a kickstand is? A lot of people in there, not of age, don't know what a kickstand is. That means I'm resting. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm enthusiastic about where I am. I love it here. I truly do. Next question.
Listen, I absolutely love Deion, but how many times have I seen a coach say that as a press conference and then they're gone the next season?
Money talks.
Yeah, Mad Dog, who's the better fit at head coach for the Dallas Cowboys? Would you say it's Deion Sanders or Bill Belichick?
Well, number one, I think that he is not going to hire either one of them because if you look at Jerry Jones's track record, his coaches that are, Chan Gailey, Dave Campo, Wade Phillips. I love him. Jason Garrett. He wants to be the star of the franchise. And if he hires Deion, which I don't think he's going to do, or Belichick, he no longer is the star. The coaches. I mean, why don't we throw Saturday's name in the mix? We can get him in the You deserve a second chance.
I wore a tie.
You deserve a second chance. But I think I think Belichick is the perfect guy. Belichick, Parcells is his buddy. Bill likes Jerry Jones, which is interesting. That's number one. Number two, Zimmer's there. Zimmer and Parcells are tight. I'm sure Belichick likes Zimmer because of the coaching staff situation. 3, he's only 15 wins away from Shula. Jerry's 82 years of age. He's not going to be there forever. He wants a second championship. Who's going to sit there and tell me that Belichick is not, after Lombardi, who's not the best coach in the history of pro football? He's won 6 Super Bowls. They've been to a million of them.
100% is.
So as a result, Belichick should be the guy. He's going to want the job. He's got the quarterback. It's a big franchise. Now, Jerry's going to have to step aside and let Bill do what he wants to do, and maybe Steve Jones won't like that. But listen, you want to go crazy on Deion? I'll let Stephen A. play the Deion card. I don't think Deion's going to be a good NFL head coach. I think he's perfect for the college. That's what I think.
Perfect for the college.
Perfect college.
Why perfect for the college?
I think the kids love him. I think the kids will go out there and love to play for him. I think he's perfect. You want to tell me Florida State? Go ahead. You want to tell me an SEC team? Go ahead. I think he's perfect for the college. I think Belichick would be the guy for the Cowboys.
Here's my only pushback to that is any college coach that has had this sort of success and has build programs, they automatically become one of the hot names in NFL circles. Like, we need to talk to that guy. So why is it that Deion, given what he's done at multiple schools, we're saying, oh, he's good for the college, but not the NFL?
That's a fair point. Listen, a couple things. Harbaugh had coached in the NFL before he went to Michigan and goes back in the NFL. A lot of these college coaches have had trouble. Matt Rule with the Carolina. A lot of them have had some,
right?
Say again?
He got an opportunity, though, right?
No, I'm not saying that Deion doesn't deserve an opportunity. I wouldn't hire him if it was my team because I just would want a guy who is in his. He's going against Bill Belichick.
No, I agree. I think Belichick, X's and O's, nobody better. I love Belichick. However, if Jerry wants to win, but also wants to have a weekly telenovela played out at the Star, Deion almost fits both avenues.
I agree with that.
From the standpoint of you want to. Here's the problem with the Cowboys. They have talent, to Micah's point, except they don't seem to have a toughness. They don't have a grit. They don't have. They just seem like they need a Dan Campbell type of guy in there. And I feel like Deion can handle the Jerry, handle the media, and handle that locker room because he comes in with instant credibility. I played this game. I'm a Hall of Famer. Ain't nobody did it better than Prime, right? You have guys that give him that respect. And also you've seen a culture builder, a builder of actual winning programs. And I think that is, if you're an NFL team, that's what you want.
May go.
This is really a debate for you.
You're going to go to Deion now?
You're damn right I am. First of all, if you remember, I was the one that brought up Bill Belichick. When I was talking last coming into the season, I thought that Mike McCarthy shouldn't have been here. I thought you got a 6-time champion available. You go ahead and get him, all right, as a head coach in Bill Belichick, okay? So I'm not throwing any shade on Bill Belichick, but when we see the job that Deion is capable of doing, when you see the kind of behavior you're seeing from players and what have you, when you think about somebody resonating with the players as opposed to intimidating them, as Bill Belichick would do, one could easily argue that that's the best route to go in Big D. I thought Bill Belichick would be ideal because Jerry loves the camera and Bill Belichick hates it. Mm-hmm. So Bill Belichick, that's the perfect owner to have. Let him talk, or let him talk to the press. You don't even have to. You understand? That could be music to Bill Belichick's ears. But we also have to take into account how Bill Belichick looked without Tom Brady. We have to take into account what the New England Patriots looked like the last 4 years. We have to also take into consideration that Bill Belichick proved to be a relatively bad GM. Okay, well, what are we lamenting about Jerry Jones? What, you want 2 of them? I mean, that's a problem. That's a problem. Whereas with Deion Sanders, now you're talking about an evaluator of talent, a high-end motivator, somebody that has his own set of credentials, albeit different than a Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick's credentials as a coach, Deion Sanders was as a performer. But Dallas, what is Dallas about? It's about the sizzle. It's about the bright lights. It's about performing under those bright lights. And also it's about him. And this is the key ingredient that I think that the biggest reason that I would go with Deion outside of him being significantly younger than Bill Belichick at this point in the stage. I would also bring this up. When you talk about somebody having the capability to wrap their arms around Jerry and convince Jerry to see things a slight bit differently, while embracing Jerry in a way where you're not taking the spotlight from him, you're joining him with the spotlight, and obviously it's a bigger light that's being shined upon him. That's something that Jerry Jones may potentially gravitate to because he does have a good relationship with Prime. He does have a lot of love for him. He does have a lot of peace. That's one of the reasons that so many former Dallas Cowboys have educated me about this. Like, you have no idea what Jerry has done for former players.
Absolutely.
And what they mean to him, what he means to them. Deion is one of those people. So it's not Deion or Jerry Jones. Deion Sanders is the kind of dude that can roll up in Dallas and partner with Jerry Jones in a way no other NFL coach could. And I think that can't be ignored.
The most successful young coaches in the NFL right now, I think Dan Campbell, DeMeco Ryans, former players who have come in and they have placed the culture and the style in the style of player they were. Right, I played against DeMeco, and these guys, they had a mental toughness and an attitude. Don't be fooled by the flash of Deion Sanders. He is as old school as it gets. He is a step on your throat, make you hurt, try to embarrass you type player. This dude wanted to show everybody in the building up and wanted to prove to everybody he was the best to ever do it. He doesn't coach any different. This guy wants tough, hard-nosed people. I think that pays and plays in the NFL. Now, I do not like the fit with Jerry because the problem for me is immediately when I walk in with Deion Sanders, he's got credibility for me as I'm sitting in the player seat looking at him. That's my guy. I'm going to follow him to the end. He's my rah-rah. He's my guy. Jerry usurps every one of his coaches' authority every time they get in that seat. And if you're Deion Sanders, the last thing you want to do is be battling the guy who comes in and wants to have a media conference before the head coach talks to the press. He wants to talk to the press after the game. Deion Sanders wants to carry his message through that building. If he can, to your point, get Jerry to buy into that, I'm in. If it's not, I give it to Bill Belichick, because here's the thing. He don't got to be a GM about the quarterback, about the number one wide receiver, and about a defensive player who's similar, not the same as Lawrence Taylor, who he's already coached. So he understands about having a talent like that and what he can do with him. So he's got all the pieces and parts that I think, and he knows how to build a run-stuffing, get in your face, nasty style defense. And I know that because I played against him for dang near 2 decades. I know he can build those things. So he would be successful. I would prefer Deion.
Would he be successful?
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. Everything you said, I agree with. Jerry, for them to be successful, Jerry has to change. And I don't think Jerry will change anything about the way Jerry handles stuff unless it is somebody like a Deion.
But think about Bill. Bill does not spend money. The thing that Jerry is tight, like people don't think, but Jerry is tight, but Bill doesn't spend the money. The reason he got so bashed in New England, he didn't go pay high prices. He builds like internally. He understands how to build a defense that will be grimy and be able to stop Philly and do those kinds of things. He's a smart coach, and he already has the quarterback. His problem was evaluating receivers, and he had a great quarterback, right? But he did a good job in running backs. He does a decent job in O-line. So the pieces and parts you see, he fails it. He ain't got to do this very long, y'all.
Guys, you're making it more complicated than it is.
It's not. I'm telling you.
Primetime Deion Sanders is the one individual that could deal with Jerry being Jerry.
Jerry's $10 billion, bro.
He doesn't have to change Jerry. He can work with him and work around him because of the things that Jerry cares about. That could be facilitated by Prime. But Bill Belichick's a nightmare. He doesn't want to deal with that noise.
Mad Dog, can I just come to you on this? Let's take Jerry Jones out of it. Who's going to make this team a better football team with more wins? Is it Bill Belichick or Deion Sanders?
Take Jerry out of the equation.
I'll leave him in. First of all, they need less dazzle. They need less sizzle. That's the problem with the Cowboys.
But the
it's too
sizzle's
much
not going
nonsense
anywhere.
around the team.
But the sizzle's not going anywhere.
Well, if you bring Belichick in, nobody's going to want to hear from Belichick. It's all about football. You want to bring about style. I don't care about style.
No.
I want to win games.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you're actually lying on this particular day, because you clearly tried to address some elements of your style. You've upgraded to some degree today. Clearly, you care about it today. So that's a lie. That's number one. Number two, when we're talking about it, what we're saying, Doggy, is this. Bill Belichick wouldn't want to talk to the media. It would be all about football with the players, which I'm all for. That's why I said I would want him initially. But when you talk about primetime being in the mix, now that's a different animal. Because as Louis Riddick was explaining yesterday to y'all, he is old school. Primetime, no matter the flash and the sizzle, all that, the brother's old school. You got to perform. And he's going to be in a position to call them out about their performance. The point is, he's the one personality that can outshine or have as much equal shine as Jerry while not turning Jerry off to it.
But to Mad Dog's point and what Jeff is saying, yes, the sizzle, all that, he can match it. Is he going to be able to convince Jerry, hey, when it's a trade deadline, get me somebody? In the offseason, can we spend some money?
Well, you think Bill Belichick's going to convince Jerry Jones to do that?
That's why I'm saying
I think Prime got a better chance of doing that than Bill Belichick.
I agree with you. But I think if Jerry is not on board with changing how he operates,
they're done.
Get the sizzle. It's about the football moves and when to make them.
And listen, the risk, this is the thing, too. To me, and this is why the risk for Deion, it's a much bigger risk for Deion than it is for Bill Belichick. Because everybody like Dog is going to be, like he's saying, how can Deion be? What kind of coach can he be? Because the first thing any NFL guy is saying is,
and you think that's going to phase him? You think that's going to phase Prime? Ain't going to phase Prime?
But you and I both know, how many shots do you really want to get? And if you can do it your way somewhere else, it might be, it's the easiest flow, right? It's like water. Find the easiest flow. It might not be in Dallas for Deion. It might be in another
Where was
place.
Deion before he went to Jackson State? You know where he was? You know where he lives, right?
No, I
do. Right outside of Dallas.
Oh,
got that big pride. I mean, the brother is in Dallas. I mean,
but
he's a fabric of Dallas, just like anybody else.
Stephen A., we've talked about so many times that Prime wants to develop young men, right? And
Yes.
that's why he loves being in the college game, and he cares about that and character. But are we even certain that he would want that Dallas Cowboys job if his son's not playing there? Like, we don't even know if he wants to be an NFL head coach.
Well, I don't think that Deion wants to depend on his son when it comes to him being deemed as qualified as a successful coach. That's number one. So I don't think that's a fact.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the fact we're not certain he wants to be an NFL coach to begin with. What might be enticing for him is the fact that it's the Dallas Cowboys and potentially being with his son.
Well,
Otherwise, I would think it'd be a program like a Florida
Well,
State
first
or
of
an
all, it's not
SEC
the potential
program.
there to be with his son because as awful as Dallas is, they ain't going to get, I don't know if they're going to get a pick
Are you gonna
high enough
offload
to
Dak
get
Prescott?
you got Dak Prescott's salary to offload, so we're not thinking about it along those lines. And, of course, we're not certain whether or not Deion wants. That's not the subject matter isn't about, oh, is he going to want this job or not? The subject matter is, would he be the best thing for the Cowboys? Is he somebody that Jerry Jones should pursue?
Yeah,
and the answer to that is emphatically yes.
In reality,
I
I
would-
know
that's-
Bill
I would say
Belichick
this
wants
about-
the job.
I would say this about Deion. There's only 32 in the world. He wants to be the best at everything.
Yes.
Like, there's not a higher shine. I don't care you win national championships, all that kind of stuff. That's all great, right? The people will blame it on recruiting, what division. In the NFL, there ain't a higher level. You go win it there, you've won it. Like, it's a real deal. It is a separate level.
He loves the challenge.
And Deion, he's a dude now. That's a different cat. I would love to see it. I honestly.
He's 82 years old, Jerry Jones. He's
Yeah.
not going to be around forever.
No.
Let me ask you a question right now. For the next year Dallas Cowboys team, next year, who would be more effective? Bill Belichick with 6 titles or Deion, who's never coached in the NFL? The answer is Belichick. Hire him.